I always tease Miss Lady Ruth Hunter because as yet we have not gotten a bishop in the AME church, but we got 4 bishops in the Church of the Living God. That is really commendable. I'd
Thank
like
you.
to salute you. But one thing about it, our bishops are sincere and they are dedicated. Once again, I'm talking to Elder Patterson from Louisville, Kentucky, who's not only the public relations director for the Church of the Living God, but she's an educator in the Louisville school system. What do you want the public here in Oklahoma City to do? What kind of reaction? Tell us what you want this week as you are here in our distinguished city.
I tell you what, Miss Luper, we're here. We're going to be here a week. And since as a PR director, my whole emphasis is on evangelistic thrust. And that is to call attention, first of all, to the national church body through our efforts in convention, through our seminars, certainly through the workshops and our worship programs. And we are saying to the public, come hear us. See what we're about. And if you find what we are talking about pleasing to your ears, then be a part of us. That's what it's all about. God is demanding a evangelistic movement, and that's what we're here for. And so we're saying to the general public, come see what we're doing.
The general public can come, and once again, where will the meeting be held?
The meeting will be at, we are housed at the Sheraton Century Hotel, but we're going to be right across the street at your convention center, the Marriott Convention Center, and we're going to start service. We'll start our sessions there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'll be there all day.
Those of you out in radio land, you have an invitation from the public relations director. Your invitation is very simple. It's been a long time since this convention has been held in Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City people must show their appreciation. And all over the state of Oklahoma, those of you in Holdenville, Oklahoma, Frederick, in Arcadia, in Hoffman, Oklahoma, come on here this week. And once again, that meeting will be held where?
At the Marriott Convention Center, and it's going to start. In fact, our welcome program will be there on tomorrow night, Monday, which is August the 6th, and it's going to start at about 7 o'clock, where you'll have some of your local dignitaries will be our guests that evening, and that will start us off. And then Tuesday morning is the gavel will sound, and the chief bishop then, who is W.E. Crooms, will officially open up the convention for business and all the other things that must take place. And we certainly welcome you to come on out and be a part of us.
I'm so excited about tomorrow, because tomorrow I will have the opportunity, because of your leadership, to interview Bishop W.E. Crooms. I'm looking forward to it with great anticipation.
And we are certainly looking forward to your interviewing him, too. A woman who's high-spirited as you are, we know that this interview is just going to take off, take wings, and go right along. And I'm certainly sure that our chief executive is going to be a proud person to have been interviewed with you by Clara Luper.
Thank you so very kindly, and thank you for being my very distinguished guest today. On August the 12th, at exactly from 10:45 to 4 o'clock p.m., the first AME's Women's Day program will be held. The speaker will be the Honorable Senator E. Melvin Porter. It was homecoming time this week. It was the reflections of the past as hundreds of former Dungy students, teachers, and patrons gathered at the Hilton Inn West for their third all-school reunion. It was open with Alonzo Walton, who was a program chairperson. Greetings from Lily Ruth Hastings Buckner. Joyce Henderson reviewed the activities for today, for that particular day. The banquet, Mrs. Lady Ruth Hastings Buckner served as the mistress of the ceremony. The invocation by Reverend Raymond Wundick, Lily Ruth gave a welcome that made everybody feel just at home. Mrs. Nancy Davis, a former teacher, Dungy High School, reflected the past and did a terrific job in telling the story of Dungy. Reverend Willie B. Parker spoke on behalf of the Dungy faculty. Mrs. Gloria Joanne Johnson Pollard spoke as a 1961 graduate. And then the slide presentation by Joyce Johnson Henderson, The Way We Were. The big moment came, a moment that we had looked forward to, when Mr. Curly Sloss, a former football coach, would be honored. He did it all. His award was presented to by George Farmer Jr. in a unique way. George paid him the highest honor that could be paid to a person. He said that he was everything and he was responsible for George Farmer and others moving ahead. A plaque was presented. For the first time in my life, I saw Mr. Curly Sloss standing with tears in his eyes as he remembered the way things used to be. Yes, Curly Sloss was honored. The Dungee students did not forget their teachers. Other teachers were presented certificates. And the school song, Dungee, Dear Old Dungee. On Saturday, there was a family picnic with the Dungeeites out to the Menace Lakeview Park. And it ended today with a memorial service program at the Midwest City Community Center, one of the most beautiful memorial programs that this reporter has seen. There was a memorial sermon by Reverend Wandick, a 1964 graduate. Then there was music by Miss Tees, his daughter. That's Mr. and Mrs. Orange's daughter. And then there was a tribute. The names of the teachers that sleep in yonder cemetery were read by Mrs. Nancy Davis. The names of the students from Dungee School was read by little Miss Orange. And there was a prayer, and it was over. The next class reunion will be held in Los Angeles, California in 1986. At this time, I would like to present to George Farmer, Jr., a plaque. I would like to read this. Many of you remember George Farmer, Jr., and there are some things you do not know about him. His son now plays with the Rams, and he's his own son's manager. And today on radio, I would like to present to George Farmer, Jr. for his continuous appreciation, love, and respect for outstanding, unselfish achievement in the business world, plus the rare ability to make and keep friends. This plaque is presented to this young man from Dungee School, who's now the president of sales for Stock Tab Plus Incorporated in Los Angeles, California. George, it's all yours. Now for our ace reporter, Shelley Marie Luper Wilson. And Shelley is ready. And speaking of being ready, the House of Bingo is ready. I had the opportunity to go to 1014 North MacArthur Street. And there, ladies and gentlemen, George Singer has done the impossible. He has expanded his bingo, the House of Bingo #1, located in the Northeast Shopping Center on Northeast 36 in Everett. 2. Now that's #1, where you can go and play bingo. That's #1, the House of Bingo #1. But in the House of Bingo #2, a huge bingo parlor with all new equipment, everything ready to go. And he believes in integration, and he is integration. Now tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there will be free meals served at the House of Bingo #2. All of you senior citizens that want to eat a delicious meal tomorrow, and I had some barbecue from out there last night. That barbecue is delicious. Remember, the House of Bingo #2. Now on the east side, don't start crying and fussing at George Singer, because your day will be the second Monday at 11 o'clock. And here's Shelley.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shelley Marie Luper Wilson bringing you the news. The Statue of Liberty, one of the largest statues ever made, was built in France. It was shipped across the Atlantic Ocean as a gift to the people of the United States. Most people call it the Statue of Liberty, but that's only its nickname. Its real name is Liberty Enlightening the World. It is on Liberty Island in New York Harbor. The robed lady stands for liberty, and she holds a torch above her head. If you visit Liberty Island, you can climb a spiral stairway inside the statue and look through the windows in the crown. At night, special lights in the torch make it look as if it is really burning. Frederick Auguste Bartholdi was the man who designed the Statue of Liberty. To make the statue, huge sheets of copper were hammered into shape and put together over an iron framework. If you visit France, you can see a model of the Statue of Liberty on a bridge over the Seine River in Paris. That was brought to you by Marilyn Hilger, Marilyn Sells, Home Insurance, Life Insurance, and Car Insurance. You can call her by calling 751-8435 office and 424-6863 home. Also, Behold the Walls by Clara Luper. And I would like to say hello to Cicely Brown and my teacher in 5th grade, Miss Rucker.
Thank you, Shelley. Speaking of the wedding last night in El Reno, how could you salute the Reverend Maceo McDaniels and Elder Willie Minor? Reverend McDaniels put them together, and he said, whatever God puts together, let no man take asunder. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a wedding. And incidentally, I know many of you want to get on my bachelor's list. To do it, you have to wait till October. Don't start sending me any names yet. You just wait until October, because that's the month that we start on our bachelor's list. Congratulations are in order. And speaking of Dungy School, before I leave, I better tell you some of these people that put this together. Joyce Johnson Henderson, Lily Ruth Hastings Buckner, Virginia Orange Walton, Willie Wooten, Mattie Jewel Davis Kilpatrick, Pauletta Orange Mosley, Alonzo Walton, Barbara Richardson Miller, Joyce Mitchell Kimbrough, Mattie Davis Kilpatrick, and Mrs. Nancy Randolph Davis. And certainly they would like to say a special thanks to Reverend W.B. Parker, who allowed them to meet in his church. Speaking of something to do, if you want some burglar bars and you don't want burglars to come in your house, call the M&W Welding Company, 2103 Northeast 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City. That's the M&W Welding Company. Rosie's Restaurant would like to extend a special invitation to all of you that love soul food to come to 217 Northeast 23rd Street. That's Rosie's Restaurant here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Rosie's Restaurant. Yes, today's program is a very special program. And I always tell you some good news, but now I'm going to have to tell you some bad news. In Oklahoma City, we have a 32-year-old black female who's a mother of 3 children, who is now in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary for Women. She's in the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center. She has been there since January 1980. She is serving a 471-year sentence on a first offense, according to the information that I have. Now, she was charged and convicted by a jury trial in Oklahoma County, Oklahoma, where black people say they have so many friends and they are doing so well. She was charged on 8 counts of armed robbery by force and fear. And this resulted in 471 years. Now, I want to repeat that because I have black people running around here telling me how well we are doing in Oklahoma, and I want to make my point clear. My point is that in Oklahoma County in 1984, we have a young black female, 32 years old, on her first offense that has been sentenced to 471 years in prison. Now, that's bad news. And the bad news, the bad part about it is there are other people, white, that have killed people, not 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they have not gotten 471 years. We are getting ready now to show our power. And our power must come through our God-given sense. Now, black people should have sense enough. They should have sense enough to look out for themselves. Everybody else looks out for themselves. The Jews take care of the Jews. The Vietnamese have come in here, and they certainly taking care of themselves. And somewhere down the line, black people are going to have to start thinking and taking care of black people. Now, black people are going to also have to stop committing crimes. It doesn't make sense for a black person to commit a crime because we have been discriminated against all of our lives, and then to get in a position where the other man controls your very action is putting yourself in a position to be in serious trouble. Now, I would like to appeal to the black people today. I want you to listen very carefully, because so many of you call me and you criticize me and say, I'm always trying to tell you what to do. You are right. I don't want you to steal anything from anybody, because it was written a long time ago, thou shalt not steal. I would like to repeat, I don't want you to steal. It breaks my heart to see you in prison. And those of you that are in prison, I want you to use the time in prison in reading and studying. So when you hit the ground, you can live a decent life. Now, you aren't supposed to be in prison. You're supposed to be out here in this world making a living, marrying just like the bachelor did, and taking care of a family. You don't have to steal. Now, so many of you tell me that you can't help it because you're on drugs. Well, that's simple. Get off of drugs. Drugs are not your friend. Drugs become your enemy. Anytime anything make you do something that you wouldn't do under ordinary conditions, you become a slave to that thing. I would rather see my people in physical slavery than mental slavery. Because when a man whip you, that wound will heal. But when those drugs hit your brains, you're gone forever. As black people, we don't own any oil wells. We don't own any big corporations. And all we have, just our children. And when our children are destroyed by drugs, we have nothing. Call it country. Call it elementary. But today I'm appealing to you to stay off of drugs. Stay off of drugs because drugs, not alcohol, are your friends. Friends wish you well. Friends help you. Once again, I'm appealing to you. Onita and death announcements. And as Onita is coming, I would like to join in with Onita in extending sympathy to those that have lost relatives and friends this week. Onita.
Temple Funeral Home announces the following services. Services for Mr. Shannon Judy of 1700 North Kellum will be Thursday at 11 a.m. in the chapel of the Temple Funeral Home. Services for Mr. Henry Johnson, 636 Northeast 6th Street, will be Monday at 11 a.m. in the chapel of the Temple Funeral Home. Roth Funeral Home announces the services. Mrs. Verding Jenkins of Jones, Oklahoma, is pending with the Roth Funeral Home. Services for Mrs. Odessa Dillard, 1316 Northeast 15th, is pending with the Roth Funeral Home. Services for Mrs. Ethel Watkins of 1137 Northeast 13th will be Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the Avery Chapel AME Church. As we extend our sympathy tonight, I would like to read this poem. When I must leave you for a little while, please do not grieve and shed wild tears, and hug your sorrow to you through the years. But start out bravely with a gallant smile, and for my sake and in my name, live on and do all things the same. Feed not your loneliness on empty days, but fill each waking hour in useful ways. Reach out your hand in comfort and in cheer, and I in turn will comfort you and hold you near. And never, never be afraid to die, for I am waiting for you in the sky. To the families, we extend our deepest sympathy.
Thank you, Onita. As you was reading that, I was thinking about what I would like for you to remember me by. I'm not a person who does not want to be remembered, because certainly the students of the Dungy reunion remembered me in a special way. I've never had so many people to stand in line to buy my books. I shall never forget the smile on Andrew Dunlap's face when he purchased my book on last Friday night. Oh, I shall always remember Leonard Webb, Abner Liggins, and the list goes on and on. And I'm so proud these young people remember me. But if you want to remember me, I want you to remember me in this way, by doing the best that you can. That's how I want you to remember me. Every time you score a victory for your people and your God, that's how I want to be remembered. When you do something for somebody else, you're remembering me. And to those of you young people that are now sitting on those people that wash dishes and scrubbed in order that you could become educated, I want you to go back and get someone else. Our young people need help. Our young people need leadership. And I don't want to see you move out of the communities without coming back, giving a ride in your big cars to another one. Because somebody asked me as I was talking about George Farmer, they say, Clara, there are a lot of people in Oklahoma City that have not heard from George Farmer. And I say this not every 2 weeks I receive a call from George Farmer, who now lives in Los Angeles, California. And maybe you don't hear from George because when he was a little boy, you didn't take up a lot of time with him. But I wanted you to know that I want you to remember me. Thanks for remembering me, Joyce. Thank you, Claudette. Thank you, Letty. Thank all of you that even remember me when I walk down the street and you say hello to me. It means so much to me. I want you to visit the Body Boutique this week, 536 Northeast 39th Street. The telephone number is 524-3308. Be sure and speak to the two sisters, Mrs. Rowley and Miss Brown, and tell them you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show, and check with their photographers. Don't forget the fashion show at the Free Enterprise Center, 429 Northeast 50th Street, August the 26th at 7 o'clock p.m. That's sponsored by the Body Boutique, and you can get your tickets for only $5. Back to Onita.
Raw Funeral Home announces the services of Mr. Andrew Smith of 4130 Northeast 43rd is pending with the Raw Funeral Home. Services for Mrs. A.C. Bryson of 3335 Sunset is pending with the Raw Funeral Home.
Once again, the next class reunion of Dungy High School will be held in Los Angeles, California. The chairperson of that is a young lady out of my homeroom, Mrs. Joanne Johnson Pollard. Mrs. Hunter, did we tell everybody about your Women and Men's Day program?
Mrs. Luper, I hope you did, because we are having our Men and Women's Day program this coming Sunday, which is August the 12th at First AME Church, 2307 Glen Allen. And we're having a 10:45 morning service and a 4 o'clock afternoon musical service. But I want you to come to each of the services. And guess who's going to be the speaker for my morning services, Mrs. Luper?
Well, one thing I know Noah built an ark. But
Well,
I don't know who's going to be your speaker for sure.
Well, my speaker is going to be my Senator, Melvin E. Porter.
But did you know Melvin E. Porter has built a lake named Lake Victor?
Oh, yes, I've been by there, and I'm just dying and waiting to get into that lake.
Well, you'll die if you jump into that lake. It's 30 feet. Clara Luper on KAEZ Radio in Oklahoma City. And I would like to just go back over our top stories for today. Our top story is that we have thousands of people that will be coming to Oklahoma City. The Church of the Living God will be holding its 92nd annual convention here in Oklahoma City. It will be headquartered at the Sheraton Century Center, Broadway at Main in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I would like to tell you our next head story was that big class reunion. And let me mention that we are having the Anderson family is having a family reunion, and there are hundreds of Andersons starting in the Spencer area that are now in Oklahoma City attending that reunion. Also, you have a reunion of the Douglas High School class, but we're going to have a reunion in my class. In my class, there were 5 students. I graduated in the top 5 of my class, and we're going to show these people how to have a reunion. Oh, I enjoyed the Dungy reunion, but just wait till Gladys Elliott and I get together. We're going to serve as a vice chairman and a chairperson of that Grayson reunion. That's going to be a reunion, and I want to invite Lily Ruth Buckner and everybody down to see that reunion.
But I'm sure they're going to enjoy that one, because that is going to be the Hoffman Committee. Or will it be the Grayson Committee?
It will be the
Which
Grayson
one?
Committee. It will be the Grayson Committee. And speaking of Sunday, I want you to hear Reverend Woodbury. Reverend Woodbury will be the speaker at 4 p.m. at the Mount Olive Baptist Church here in Oklahoma City. That's on the 19th. That's the day the sit-in movement started. We have written all of the churches and invited them to send representatives. The churches can't come. Just send us a donation. We haven't gotten, some of the churches have forgotten us, but we want to remind you. And we have a big story that's coming up. We have a story here that's just off the wire, and that story is what, Mrs. Hunter? Will you break in? Aretha Franklin's father has just passed in Detroit. You remember Reverend C.L. Franklin? You remember how he was robbed by his own people, and he's been in a coma for years. And certainly we will pray for the family. That's Aretha Franklin's father is dead. Let me go back over. Mr. Talent USA will be held at the Kirkpatrick Center this coming Saturday night, August the 11th, 2100 Northeast 52nd Street. Look, Shelley's having a birthday.
Well, that is true. Shirley's having a birthday party, and I'm sure they'll be at that birthday party. But most of all, I want you to come out and see the talents that our young men present. And come on out on August the 11th, is it?
Yes.
Come out August the 11th and see our talented young men.
At 7:30 p.m.
At 7:30 p.m. and at the Kilpatrick Center. So, along with Shirley's birthday, when you leave the birthday party, just come on out and to the talent.
As I look at the clock on the wall, I know it's time for Clara Luper to say goodbye. I really hate to say goodbye to you because I love you so much. But in saying goodbye to you, there are 3 things that I really want you to do for me. Always be associated with some church. Please do that for me. You will find something in church that you cannot find anywhere else. Secondly, get your NACP membership. I'm ashamed of any black person who's not a member of the NACP, and I'm ashamed of you white people that are becoming, you are becoming richer because of the NACP. I would also ask each one of you to register and vote. And whenever you see me, don't grin at me if you aren't an NACP member and you see how black people are being treated in our judicial system. Don't grin at me if you aren't a member of the NACP. Nor do you frown at me. The only thing I want you to say is, Clara, I want my NACP membership. I want you to show me where some churches are, and I will have a list of them, and I want you to register me in order to vote. This will be an exciting week for all of us, because this week we will be able to meet some co-workers in the great cause of Christianity. We will be able to talk to people from all over this country. And as we do, I want you in Oklahoma City to pray for the success of this convention. And if you look at your house and you have paper and cans and things out in front, pick them up, because you are too intelligent, you're too beautiful, and you are too sweet to let the slums live in you. It doesn't make any difference what kind of house you live in, but it does make a difference how clean that house is. I want you to just look at your own self and realize your own beauty. The clock on the wall says that Clara Luper must go. Bye-bye, darling. I love you, dear.
You've been listening to the Clara Luper radio program, heard each Sunday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. here on KAEZ, the Soul of Oklahoma.
The views expressed in the program just heard.
Go back to that historical date, August 19th, 1958, when the sit-in movement started here. We know that the history of America is filled with the lives of great men and women who by their sacrificial lives have changed the course of history. It is this month that we will look at the men and women who explored the unknown, who plowed the fields, picked the cotton, mopped the floors, washed the dishes, cleaned the restrooms, and paved the way for this generation. This month, we're going to look at men and women who feared for their jobs and lives, yet donated their money, their talents, time, food, and other meager means to the cause of freedom. It is August in Oklahoma. And in August, we go back and relive those days of the sit-in movement. Yes, we look at those who stood in the scorching heat of yesterday's sunshine and froze educationally, socially, and financially during the long, cold, snowy nights of segregation. It is to those unsung and unknown heroes that we are going to think about during the month of August. Many of these heroes sleep in yonder soil. Many are bent with misery, poverty, frustration, and are victims of unpredictable circumstances and unknown diseases. Yes, many bear the scars of yesterday's battles, and with renewed courage, they face the walls that face us today. August 1984. We call it the Freedom Fiesta Week celebration. It will start on Monday, August the 13th with a Freedom Fiesta get-together. And between August the 13th and August the 17th, we want all of you to join us in our large voters registration drive. On Tuesday, August the 14th is Cecil L. Williams Day, and that day we will register people to vote until we can register no more. On August the 15th, it will be the original 13 Sit-Inners Day. There will be a big party Terry Lynn Spinks and Shelley Marie Luper Wilson will be hosting that party. On Thursday, August the 16th, Gwendolyn Fuller and Harold Woodson's Day, in which all past presidents and officers of the NAACP Youth Council will be honored. There will be a skating party, according to the president, Derek Platt. Harold Woodson was in Oklahoma City attending the Dungy reunion and received a plaque from the NAACP Youth Council. On Friday, August the 17th, will be Lady Ruth Hunter's, Nancy Davis, and Lillian Oliver's Day. At 7:30, there will be a garden fashion show and coronation of the Freedom Fiesta Queen. That's at 2609 Northeastern here in Oklahoma City. Saturday is Clara Luper's Day, and I have a young man here to talk about that day. What is your name, sir?
My name is Charles Ward.
Charles Ward, I would like to congratulate you because you are one of the head persons over the Clara Luper Day, along with the Honorable Charles Pollard of the Pollard Funeral Home. Now, tell me about the Clara Luper Day.
Yes, we're going to have an open house all day. Freedom Center, 2609 Northeastern, 11 a.m., Clara Luper's Bean Dinner.
Oh, I'm so excited about that bean dinner, and I want to thank all of you that are calling me concerning beans. You want to know what kind of beans that I want? Let me tell you. I want black beans, brown beans, white beans. Yes, I want beans. Now, I don't want you to cook any beans without putting some meat in them. Be sure. Now, the Republicans are in office, and we should be living good, and be sure and put some meat in those beans. And I would like to thank you in advance because we are going to eat beans. How much are those bean dinners going to cost?
Oh, they're going to cost $3. Just $3. That's all. And perhaps they worth a whole lot more than that.
Well, I know one thing. When Mrs. Esther Watson get through cooking those beans for Clara Luper, and I want to have some fun today because all of these members of the Church of the Living God are in Oklahoma City, and we want them to know how Oklahoma City loves Clara Luper on her day and how many pots of beans will be donated. And then Mrs. Matthews will be making some good old peach cobblers. I can see some of you out there bringing that coleslaw. And my aunt, Miss Alberta Felder, is no telling what kind of beans Mrs. Felder will fix for me. I don't know. Now, they will start selling the bean dinners at what time?
At 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m., nobody's going to eat any beans that late. What time will they start serving the bean dinner?
11 in the morning.
11 in the morning. Now, all of you workers anywhere in town, some of my best friends are white, and I can see my white friends bringing me some white beans and some brown beans and some black beans. And you white friends out there, don't bring me any beans without any meat. This is a Republican administration, and we are getting ready for the Republican National Convention, and I want you to show me that times are good, and times are good when you can put meat in your beans. Now, at 12:30 p.m., what will happen?
Okay, 12:30 p.m., Mrs. Black American,
Yeah.
KOCO-TV.
Oh, I want you to be sure and put that down because this is the first time we have been able to get Miss Black America at a time that's so suitable. That's 12:30 p.m., and I want you to be glued to your television sets. And after the television, be sure and call KOCO Channel 5 and tell them how much you enjoy Miss Black America. But at 5 o'clock, what will happen?
Okay, at 5 o'clock p.m., Freedom Fiesta Parade, which is going to be a wonderful one. We're going to have just so much fun, and I'm asking each and every one, all of you, to come out and help us celebrate this wonderful parade, because we all love Mrs. Luper.
Well, I sure appreciate your loving me. I love for people to love me. I can see those motorcycle riders now, and I can see all those Trans Ams. I can see them. Oh, that's going to be some parade. I have so far down some 15 queens that will be participating in the parade, and I want all of those handsome young men that can ride bicycles to ride in that Clara Luper's Day parade. And I would like to have all the church buses in that parade. That's got to be a good parade. If you have any drill teams or anything, let us know. I'm really excited about that.
Oh, I am too. I am off. I just can't hardly wait until the 18 get here.
Well, that's going to be a day. Now, remember, we're going to start lining up at the Leroy Pitts Park. Be sure and be there and line up. Come by Freedom Center during the Freedom Fiesta week and pick up your numbers, because we're going to line up and we're going to kick off on time. We're going to stop the trade on Clara Luper's Day. And let me explain to you what Clara Luper's Day means. It's a salute to everyone that has participated in the sit-in movement. Clara Luper's name is only a symbol. It's a symbol that symbolizes the real heartbeat of the sit-in movement. I want you to remember that. So when we say Clara Luper, we're talking about you. Many of you that stood and walked. This will be your day, the Clara Luper Radio Show, here in Oklahoma City, KAEZ Radio. I know Miss Hunter must be excited. Are you ready for that Lady Ruth Hunter's Day during the Freedom Fiesta? Are you ready?
Yes, indeed, I am ready, because, Mrs. Luper, you know, this year, everything is leaning toward the youth. And the youth will be out there giving them a beautiful and wonderful fashion show, well, along with other entertaining numbers. Some of the numbers are going to really be exciting and interesting. So come on out and see the fall fashions, because the fashion has changed this fall. We're going to be wearing different lengths, different colors, and different shapes and makes. So come on out and see the fashion show for the youth.
Well, Mrs. Hunter, I wish on your day, now that's Friday, that's your day, Nancy's day, the late Mrs. Lillian Oliver's day. I just wish you all could carry the crowd that Clara Luper would carry on her day. I wish, what could I do to help you? Because everybody's excited about the Clara Luper's Day. That's on Saturday, August 18th.
Mrs. Luper, I want the people to help me. The only way that I can beat you,
don't say that.
You
don't
can
say
help
that.
Me,
don't say you can beat me,
Mrs.
Hunter.
Come out and participate and come and see the youth all in their fashions. So I'm really inviting them to come out on Friday afternoon and see the young in fashion.
But it's understandable that you will try, but it's nothing like the Clara Luper Radio Show. I know on radio you say Clara Luper brags. Well, I have something to brag about. When you have all of the children that I have, when you have all of the dignitaries, when you have all the senior citizens, when you have the young people, and those beautiful little old babies will be out there marching on the Clara Luper parade. And I can see my good friends eating beans. Now, those of you that have teeth trouble and you think you need to see a dentist, check the telephone directory. There are plenty of dentists. Get those teeth ready to eat those beans. Oh, those beans.
You keep saying a bean dinner, Mrs. Luper. Usually, I was listening to you telling them about these wonderful beans that we're going to have. But you didn't tell them anything about that good old peach cobbler that you usually serve with these beans. So we're going to have peach cobbler this time.
Oh, yes, we will have our traditional peach cobbler. The peach cobblers will be shipped in here from Georgia. Those cobblers. I love Mrs. Matthews cobbler. Now, if you can make a good peach cobbler, you bring a peach cobbler. But if you can make a peach cobbler like one of my friends, don't you bring a peach cobbler, you bring some beans. But make sure you have some meat in your beans. The Clara Luper Radio Show, KAEZ Radio, here in Oklahoma City. It's time for Mr. Talent USA. Mr. Talent USA, a place where a group of people have broken with tradition and will secure the fruits of today's world for our young men, will be held on Saturday, August the 11th at 7:30 p.m. at the Kirkpatrick Center Theater, 2100 Northeast to 52nd Street. Now, that is Mr. Talent USA. Many of you out there have not seen one of those shows, but I want two of you to see them, guest of Clara Luper. The first one that calls me here at KAEZ and tell me who I dedicated this program to, I'm going to give you 2 tickets. The tickets are only $10 each. And speaking of what's happening in Oklahoma City, the RK Productions will present a fashion show at the Free Enterprise Center, 429 Northeast to 50th Street, August the 26th, 1984 at 7 p.m. Now, it's sponsored by the Body Boutique. The Body Boutique is located at 536 You're remembering me. And to those Enterprise Center, 429 Northeast to 50th Street, August the 26th, 1984 at 7 p.m. Now, it's sponsored by the Body Boutique. The Body Boutique is located at 536 Northeast 39th Street, and it represents something new in body care. For example, it's a one-stop center. You can go to the body boutique and you can get a free facial. And those of you that are visiting in Oklahoma City this week, you will be able to get a free facial at the body boutique, 536 Northeast 39th Street. Now, your first one is free. Once you get the first one, you will always come back to the second and the third. Not only that, a modeling agency will be established at the body boutique. Now, if you are interested in participating in modeling, then why don't you learn how to model? You don't have to worry anymore. All you will have to do is to go by 536 Northeast 39th Street, and there you may register. Now, speaking of nail care, Mrs. Hunter, you always love nail care, and I'd like to hear you talk about nail care. Did you realize that the body boutique is giving all kind of nail treatments? All kinds. It's unbelievable.
Yes, I heard that they were giving nail care treatments. I believe this is the way she announced it. And you always want to have beautiful hands because ladies love to have beautiful hands. To have beautiful hands, you have to have beautiful fingers. And to have beautiful fingers, you have to have beautiful nails. So go by and let them beautify your hands.
Okay, well, certainly they give manicures, and they take care of your feet, too, pedicures, and they have sculptured nails. They have it. But then they have the products. Now, I want you to visit the Body Boutique, and certainly Mrs. Rowley, Mrs. Brown would like to thank those of you last week that came to the Body Boutique. And while there, you can take pictures. They have 2 professional photographers there, and this is something. So don't forget, the RK Productions will present a fashion show at Free Enterprise Center, 429 Northeast 50th Street here in Oklahoma City. That's August the 26th, 1984 at 7 o'clock p.m. And please be on time. Now, if you aren't on time, you're going to be in some serious trouble. Well, we have a lot to tell you today because we have some good news and some bad news. Now, this is good news for the one young lady in El Reno, but it's bad news